Hi and welcome again to JRi Shocks Australia. In this video we want to highlight the Sportsman Shock that's manufactured by JRi Shocks in North Carolina. The Sportsman Drag Shock is a budget entry shock. The details for the shock, it's got the same aircraft grade aluminium body that is manufactured for all the JRi Shocks. These come in two open lengths. The first one is 17.5 inches, which gives a 5-inch stroke, and then you've got a 19.5 inch open length shock for a 6-inch stroke. You've got ride height adjustable here, so with a long length shock you can fit a spring length of about 12 inches. For the shorter length is about 10 inches. These shocks come with two forms of adjustment for the actual damping. You've got the compression adjuster up here, easy to reach, and it's actually numbered for the actual compression adjuster settings. And down here at the bottom you've got what they call a sweep adjuster. So JRi supply a little pin tool that you can put in there and just move the adjuster across to stiffen it or soften it, depending on which direction you need to go. The benefits of the Sportsman Shock: we can custom valve these shocks as required. We don't keep a lot of stock purely because we feel each customer is unique, and when you purchase a set of shocks from JRi Shocks Australia, they are basically valved to suit your application. They're not an off-the-shelf shock that is made for a lot of cars. They are purposely built and tuned for your car. A couple other features: you've got monoball bearings top and bottom. These are 1/2 inch ID, so generic bolt fittings for a lot of cars or a lot of custom applications. You've got a gas port up here. On some models they're maintenance free, on some they have a Schrader valve. The way to tell if you're purchasing a really high quality performance shock is by the amount of pressure that the shock needs to be able to operate at minimum efficiency. So basically, with any sort of gas shock, if you were to remove the gas pressure, what will happen is in the shock's operation, in the change of direction, so the piston moves up and then it's about to move down, during that change of direction, what happens is the oil tries to tear apart. What the gas pressure does, it keeps pressure inside the chamber, so when the piston does change direction, it doesn't create cavitation, which is another form of oil tearing apart and creating air bubbles. So for a shock to run very low gas pressure, what the designers need to do is make sure that the actual internal design is really efficient, so the minimum amount of gas pressure is required. The minimum gas pressure you can get away with, the more grip, the more response the shock has got. And that's one of the benefits of the Sportsman Shock made by JRi. One of the benefits if you purchase the shocks through us, through JRi Shocks Australia, is you get 2-year warranty. We are the Australian service dealer for JRi Shocks, so we carry service parts and can revalve the shocks if required. The other benefit purchasing through us is we've got an association with a couple of drag racing suppliers over in America who predominantly use the JRi Shock brand on their customers and their own race cars. So not only do you get local support and knowledge, you also get the benefits of international knowledge and up-to-date latest tweaks that come through us, which we can pass on to you. So you can't beat that sort of support. If you were comparing the JRi Sportsman Shock to another brand, you'd be comparing it to a strange twin tube or QA1, possibly even AFCOs. But for what the quality of these shocks, the value of these shocks, not just on the drag racing scene, but these same models are also being fitted to some custom car builders and hot rodders. So for what they are, they're really strong, really good quality. You can't beat their performance. Another benefit with the JRi brand is they are a modular construction. So by that, a lot of parts interchangeable with other models that they sell. So this is the smaller brother to the ST08 model, which is a more expensive, a bit more, you get more adjustability with the ST08 model. So if you damage the shaft on it, bend the shaft, bring it back to us, we can just replace the shaft, check the operation of the shock, give it a dyno test. It's all good. You save yourself a lot of money rather than have to basically throw the shock out like you do with some other brands, because they don't have an Australian service representative here. The other things you need to be aware of is how to set the shock up in terms of its overall length, especially depending on how you've got the suspension set up. If you've got it on launch to actually raise, like you typically would do on radius, or it actually squats, so the shock actually compresses and the back end goes down on launch. That's a really high or really important criteria when you buy shocks. We need a bit of information so we can make sure we give you the product that's ideally suited to you. If you'd like to find out any more information about the Sportsman model or any other shocks manufactured by JRi, head over to our website www.racingshocksaustralia.com.au. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon.